Tansi, Tawel. My name is Clyde. Welcome to my video essay about decolonizing Indigenous education. My journey through this course has been informative and insightful. My positionality towards Indigenous education has been challenged and enlightened with knowledge through my own self-reflection, various questions, and helpful resources. I am going to share with you my own personal reflection of this course and address insights gained about decolonizing Indigenous education through the concepts of identity, community, reciprocity, and relationships. I will also talk about what has shaped my understanding of decolonization and what it means to me and what I think it is for. I am hoping that at the end of this course, I get to continue to question my positionality and further my understanding of what decolonizing Indigenous education means to me. I hope to challenge my own pedagogy to build upon it to relate to a broader and more diverse way of thinking and teaching. Hi. So, first we have the concept of identity. A powerful quote that resonated with me in this course that correlates with the concept of identity is found in the seventh weekly reflection. It states, in Indian tradition, each adult is personally responsible for each child, to see that he learns all he needs to know in order to live a good life, as our fathers had a clear idea of what made a good man and a good life in their society. So, we modern Indians want our children to learn that happiness and satisfaction come from pride in oneself, understanding one's fellow man, and living in harmony with nature. Although I am Filipino and from Filipino heritage, I have no indigenous blood in me. I resonate with this quote, though, because it heavily represents a part of my own Filipino culture and how my family and past relatives have operated and lived. Growing up in a very family oriented household, no matter how much older you were to the person who was younger than you were always considered as a role model to teach and to care for them and be responsible for them. Because it is so emphasized that we value family togetherness, my own identity stems from it and is built upon my four most important aspects about myself that I wish to show on to others, which is love, respect, understanding, and kindness. As I go through my decolonizing journey, through my path of becoming a teacher, I wish to bring them with me to challenge any indoctrination, colonizing ideas, or biased opinions about Indigenous people and culture. I would like my identity to grow into more of an understanding and broadened view of the diverse culture that surrounds me. To truly be a part of decolonizing Indigenous education, I believe it starts within me and having our questions answered rather than conventionalized by stereotypical ideas. Next, we have the concept of community. I believe that the concept of community and identity goes hand in hand with each other. My own identity shapes my understanding of what is around me and who I am in relation to other people. The meaning of community to me is when a group of diverse and like-minded people who mutually respect and care for one another, push for each other's success through inclusion and belonging. A community where trust and respect is in full connection with responsibility and compassion. I believe that a great way to start pushing for decolonization is through creating environments in which people have the same objective to support and empower each other, no matter the race, ethnicity, age, religion, and whatever else makes us different. We all have one commonality that can never be altered, and that is at the start and in the end, we are all human. Focusing on what makes us different can be hurtful, but it can also bring us closer together, where we can share our shared experiences and the beauty of uniqueness. If we can emphasize these aspects into creating a community within the environment of schools, we can look forward to a better tomorrow. Celebrating diverse Indigenous cultures within the school or classroom environment can lead to a more inclusive, acknowledged, and appreciative environment. On the flip side, for a very long time, Indigenous culture, language, and various aspects of what makes Indigenous people who they are was stripped away from them. Through residential schools, a form of indoctrination and act of assimilation caused a legacy of resentment and animosity towards the Canadian government and Western values. In the reading called The Davin Report of 1879, the Nicholas Flood Davin, by Nicholas Flood Davin, The Davin Report was a government requested document that recommended the establishment of residential schools that aimed to erase the culture of out of Indigenous children. The reason why I bring this up is because of how much it has impacted what community means for Indigenous students and Indigenous people. The culture of how militaristic and how Western like schools are nowadays can be traumatizing or even upsetting. Therefore, knowing my positionality and power I would have when I become a teacher, I think I would like to incorporate Indigenous ways of learning and education to work towards decolonization. Sharing circles, more collaborative activities, and inclusive, deep, and meaningful conversations about not just school can help build connection that all humans need. Next, we have the third concept, which is reciprocity. What reciprocity means to me is when two parties or individuals are in complete understanding and acceptance of each other, knowing that there are differences in opinions, ideas, and beliefs. I always stand by the saying, treat others the way you want to be treated, and I try my best to use this quote when challenging my positionality and when I have differing opinions and perspectives when compared to someone else's. In Rupert Ross's book called Indigenous Healing Exploring the Traditional Paths, under Chapter 1, Learning to See Relationally, there is a quote that resonates with me in terms of reciprocity and relatedness with others. The quote in that chapter states, worldviews are hard to talk about. You have to substantially escape your own to even begin to hear what is being said about another. This is a fitting quote because, in other words, for me to actually understand and hear someone else's perspective, I need to shut off my programmed opinions about my own views on them and just listen. I need to try and escape to a sympathetic place within myself in order to recognize and appreciate where they are coming from and position myself in their shoes as well. This concept of reciprocity, with the assistance of the quote from Rupert Ross's book, allows me to further understand how to decolonize Indigenous education. As I go through my journey into becoming a teacher, I need to remind myself that I am and will be considered as a non-native teacher. By understanding my position as a non-native teacher, I need to acknowledge that I do not know 100% everything about Indigenous culture, beliefs, and knowledge. Therefore, in reciprocity, I will be learning from them as much as they will be learning from me. I should take into consideration that as much as I confidently know about something, there will always be a deeper level of understanding and knowledge beneath it. In the reading called Are You Providing an Education That Is Worth Caring About? Advice to Non-Native Teachers in Northern First Nations Communities by Melissa Oskinigish, it talks about how non-native teachers should retain their positionality to not only teach about Indigenous curriculum, but to integrate, include, and immerse themselves in the culture through learning, events, and meaningful conversations. Knowing that I am and will be a non-native teacher, I need to recognize a diverse population around me and what I can do to allow myself to be an accepting, understanding, welcoming, and approachable teacher. And the last concept is relationship. And I believe that the concept of relationship encompasses all of the other concepts combined. The meaning of relationship to me is through a deep rooted connection that grows from support, positivity, and a meaningful contribution to one another's values of understanding. Through my own lived experience, my meaningful and long lasting relationships with others are grown from mutual respect and a symbiotic appreciation of one another where we both benefit. In an educational setting, a teacher to student relationship to me is where I can be a positive and comfortable role model who can support and provide resources to all of their needs, questions, and concerns. What I hope to improve in the context of decolonizing education is to have fun and compassionate conversations with my students about their culture, everyday life, and identity on just a friendly level, where it does not have to feel like I am just another adult telling them what to do. As much as I want the authority, I value the element of fun and enjoyment when I get to be me around my students, and so can they. From the reading called Indigenous Law Journal, The Ethical Space of Engagement, there's a quote that resonates with the concept of relationship, and it states, space is initially conceptualized by the unwavering construction of difference and diversity between human communities. These are the differences that highlight uniqueness because each entity is molded from a distinct history, knowledge tradition, philosophy, and social and political reality. I think this quote is important for teachers and educators alike because it can act as a reminder that each individual, no matter who they are, will always have some contrast and difference with one another, and a space can be created without us even knowing it. This space can divide us or it can bring us closer together. And I hope that when I become a teacher one day, I will use that space for good and for the benefit of my students and my own positionality. I wish to increase that space by incorporating ideas from unique minds who should be represented. That is all I have for now. Thank you for listening. Hi, hi.